So you don't identify with one school anymore. You just identify with being a great coach, because let's not forget, at the end of the day, Hampton split with Joe Taylor, and nobody ever saw that coming. And Joe Taylor was a legend down there, and he ended up going to FAMU. So I just think college football has changed, and I don't think we're going to see one coach, one school anymore.
This is the HBCU Report. Rob Calloway on the line right now with Jay Walker of ESPN. You can follow him on Twitter at JWalkerSky. Talking just, going around the HBCU landscape, if you will. Now, coming up this weekend, we have the Bayou Classic, the 42nd Annual Bayou Classic, Southern University, Grambling State University. And we actually have Coach Fobbs coming up in a few minutes. But here's something that I just want to get your opinion on and get your thoughts on. Here's a situation. Now, last year, when you talk about the Celebration Bowl, it worked out perfectly. You ended up with a very good Alcorn team that had an outstanding record. You ended up with a really good North Carolina A&T who won a share of the MEAC as well. Now we're in a situation where Alcorn has already clinched the East. They have a terrible record right now. I think they're 5-4, if I'm not mistaken, or 5. Well, I think it's 5-4, 5-6, whatever it is, 5-4. But it's not that good. Okay, and but in the West we have a situation where the West champion will be crowned this weekend. Either it be Southern or Grambling, because both of them are undefeated in SWAC, so it'll be similar to last week's game, except for it'll just be the West title. But if just say if Grambling loses to Southern, right?
Yeah.
No matter what happens in the SWAC championship, Alcorn is going to go with their subpar record. They're going to be the ones to go to the Celebration Bowl, because Southern has these NCAA penalties, these sanctions that have been levied against them, where they can't even go to the Celebration Bowl. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, what I want to say, I believe, and I'm not going to speak off record, something I don't know. I know I talked to the executive director of the Celebration Bowl. He was at the game there and explained that same situation. And I don't think it's as clear-cut as that. So I do think it's clear-cut. If Alcorn wins out, they win the SWAC championship, they go to Celebration Bowl. The Grambling Southern situation, I think there's some stuff there that needs to be worked out, and probably to hear from the commissioner's office on that. So we'll leave that there, because I don't want to start anything up at all. But I do believe, at a certain point, I do think if a team's ineligible, the team should be ineligible. I agree with that.
But shouldn't they be ineligible for?
Complicated.
But what about the conference championship? They should be ineligible for the championship, right?
Yeah, I'm not the commissioner of the conference. I don't get to vote on it, but I would say that. I definitely agree, because you're talking about a game that's going to be on national television. When we play the SWAC championship is played, that's on live national television. So you want your best teams and your eligible teams to be there, but for some reason, that's been the decision that they made amongst the conference, and I just kind of got to go with it. That's not my job. One thing I've learned is stay in my lane and call like I see it. And I think that you should have eligible teams playing in that game. I do agree with you.
That's just kind of wild, because for everything that Grambling's done this season, if they lose to Southern, I guess that's it.
And it's going to be an awesome game, because Grambling is fantastic.
Oh yeah,
one loss on the season, only lost to Arizona, but they can lose to Southern now. It's like I said last week for the game. As great a year as A&T was having, they were a 9-1 regular season. Only one loss came against an FBS opponent. They beat an FBS team. I said, hey, all that stuff sounds great, but there's only one team we don't care about field. And Southern, for them, they really want to win, because they really have something to prove, because, they can't go to the Celebration Bowl. So they can win that game, because they've got 3 stars down there. Austin Howard, I think, is a first or second best quarterback in the conference. Tillery, best running back in the conference by far. And then you talk about Chad Williams, best wide receiver. So they've got some weapons. Not Chad Williams, I'm sorry, Willie Quinn, the wide receiver return there.
Man,
so Willie Quinn, he can return a couple punts, and all of a sudden the blowout game becomes close again. So I can't wait to check out that game.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting one, man. It always is. That's the one thing about these rivalry games, similar to the one last weekend. When these two teams match up, the records are out the window. It's one of those things where they're playing for bragging rights, and sometimes bragging rights are even more meaningful than a
we're
record.
gonna get that started right now. Here's what we're gonna do, because you went to Alabama State, right?
Yep.
And I'm a Howard guy, right?
Yep.
I'm MEAC, right?
Yes, sir.
You SWAC, right?
Yes. Last I checked.
So you want to put something on the SWAC beating the MEAC team? You sure the SWAC can beat the MEAC?
Well, here's the thing. We got to wait. Look, if it's
no. I don't. If it's all four, you go with your conference. You stick with all four. You're not jumping back and forth.
All right. Because you put me on the spot, man. So I got to do it. What are we doing?
We got to support the conference. We got to do. I like cigars. We got to do a cigar. Put a cigar. On. Tell me what you like.
Yeah. I got you.
I'm sorry you don't have confidence betting in your SWAC guys. See, I catch it all the time. They keep telling me I'm such a MEAC guy. I call it like I see it. I just say, hey, right now the MEAC's up 1-0. And when you had the MEAC SWAC challenge, that wasn't even close.
Nope.
So, we'll see how this works out.
Yeah.
Talk about bragging, right? Talking trash. I'm talking trash to you, Rob.
I see. I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed that Coach Fobbs and the boys make it. Because I tell you what, I think between Coach Fobbs and Coach Mack, I think we'll see a game of epic proportion, because these are two of the brighter minds in college football right now, not just HBCUs, but college football in general. So, that's a bet. I got you. Even if Alcorn make it, because I believe in Coach McNair. That's my dude. I got you.
You sound real shaky on that one.
Man, I got you a pack of Swisher Sweets.
Oh, no. Oh man, I went to Howard, man. We do a little bit. We do the finer things in life. Be those Swisher Sweets.
I know, man. I just had to get you with that. All right, yeah. So definitely, we'll work that out. And speaking of Howard University, man, before I let you go, they got a coaching opening there, man. What's up?
Coach Harrell, he just couldn't get it done. And people know he and I, we go back to when we played at Howard together. And one thing about it, when you're in the business of college sports and sports, stuff like that happens. And I think enough became enough after I think any place you go in the country, outside of Howard, just period, you're in your sixth year and you win 2 football games. That's not going to get it. And if you win 1 football game in your 5th year, that's just not acceptable. And I think ultimately that was a decision that the university made and said, he is the son of Howard, but he just wasn't getting the job done. And I don't think anybody can dispute that. I mean,
but how difficult do you think it really is to be able to get, play at this point in 2016? I mean, when you were there, that was, back in the early 90s, buddy. I think the requirements might keep a lot of these athletes that normally, the top tier athletes, it might keep them out.
I hear 2 sides to that story. I've heard administrators say, hey, we don't make it that hard. We just want to make sure guys graduate, because APR is a big issue with all of the HBCUs. And I remember, when I came out, when we were coming out, all you needed was a 700 on the SAT, and you were set. And now, with the sliding scale and the SAT score, you almost need like a 1100 to get a scholarship.
Yep.
That's not just Howard. That's just the whole landscape of it. And then you have to have your GPA there to help. So, yes, Howard may be a little bit tougher, but it's not like Howard is saying you have to have 1,300 on the SAT in order to come to Howard. The NCAA is saying you have to have at least 1,000. Howard's saying, okay, we want 1,100. And, I don't know how big a deal that is. You look at Stanford, you look at Duke, they're winning. They're doing stuff like that. So I think what I've always said is, like, when I went to Howard, we had this mindset. We were like, hey, we are Duke basketball. We really thought we were Duke basketball. We said we're in a conference where nobody in the conference really likes us. They all think, we're a little bit uppity there. We are academic, but they're going to respect us. We're going to come to town. We're going to put on the Howard show. And that's what's missing. I think you have to find those kids that want that, where you can say, hey, I went to Howard University, one of the best HBCUs in the country, and you carry that swagger. That swagger's been missing because they've been taking so many L's. But there's some kids out there that want to do it. I'm convinced that there are. And I think, we need a rebirth. We need to change our mindset on how Howard looks at football moving forward, where it's not a detriment to have a good football team. It actually helps with enrollment and with notoriety.
Absolutely. Well, I know Cato June, he got Coach Harrell had a couple of NFL guys over there on the sidelines with him. I know Cato June, the Super Bowl champion with the Colts. I know he was a part of that coaching staff. So maybe something like that will help infuse a new look into the team. If that's something that – I don't know if that's something that he's interested in, but, it might give the program a boost, a shot in the arm, if you will.
They need that. But, hey, regardless of what happens on the field, we're still going to win homecoming. You know that.
Okay, yeah, there you go. There you go with that. Yeah, because guess what, buddy? I saw the attendance in the stadium was like 1,100, and they said everybody else was out there partying. I saw that.
Oh, man, it wasn't no 1,100,
That's
man.
what they
We sell out the stadium, inside the stadium, in the yard, in the tailgate. Come on, man.
Dude, they were like,
homecoming.
They were like, everybody said 11,000. It was like, yeah, everybody was 11,000 people there. Everybody else was outside. You know, that's what the greatest homecoming on earth happens is outside the stadium. That's what they were saying. So.
Well, we got a yard, but that's all right.
Yeah, it's all good, man. All right, so we got the cigar bet going, so we'll work that out.
Definitely.
And so we'll be talking again right around the Celebration Bowl. Is that cool?
Always good talking to you, homeboy.
All right, he is Jay Walker of ESPN. You can follow him on Twitter at JWalkerSky. Jay, appreciate it, man. And like I said, we look forward to talking to you in a couple weeks.
Anytime, man. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy the game.
All right, thanks, man. All right, that's my man right there, Jay Walker, ESPN. Don't forget, as I mentioned just a minute ago, follow him on Twitter at JWalkerSky. And I can't even lie, I forgot to mention to Jay, man, in our Bama State Mighty Marching Hornet group on Facebook, oh, man, they were going in because Jay was saying that he felt like Miles might have upended Bama State during halftime. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they would just text me as we were doing this interview. I just couldn't jump in there. But, yeah, okay, we'll have to talk about that next time, Jay. Well, that about do it for this week's show. Of course, I'd like to thank you, the listener, because without you, there would be no HBCU report. I also like to thank this week's guest, Coach Broderick Fobbs of Grambling State University and Jay Walker of ESPN. And before we get up out of here, I got to give you this weekend's very, very short schedule. Coming up at 2 o'clock, we have Hampton in action versus Coastal Carolina. North Carolina A&T takes on Richmond in the first round of the Division I football championship playoffs. And then at 5 o'clock, we've been talking about it. Grambling State takes on Southern University in the 42nd Annual Bayou Classic going down at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in beautiful New Orleans, Louisiana. The winner of this game will advance to the SWAC championship. Well, they will take on the Alcorn State Braves. And if you were just listening to Jay and I talk about this thing, it's going to be kind of crazy because Southern cannot go to the Celebration Bowl because of NCAA sanctions. So if they beat Grambling today, they get to go to the SWAC championship, which is kind of crazy. And win, lose, or draw in the SWAC championship, if they make it, Alcorn is going to be the representative for the SWAC. So there's really not a reason to play the conference championship if Grambling doesn't win it today. That's just my opinion. But anyway, we'll be back next week. Same time, same place. Don't forget, in addition to Spreaker, we can also be heard via iTunes, TuneIn Radio app, and Google Play Music for Android. And remember, when we're not here, we're there. There is sportsnewsandbrews.com, our official digital content partner. And that's it. I'm just kind of sad, man. Seems like college football just came and went so fast. Now we're down to the final this week. SWAC Championship, Celebration Bowl. 3 weeks, and it's over. I'm sad. Anyway, have a great weekend, everybody. This has been the HBCU Report via Spreaker.com, and we are powered by SportsNewsAndBrews.com.
It's the HBCU Report with Rob Calloway.